Here, spawning at the bottom right corner of the map, is the blue Zerg player, hailing from the team of a Freak of Freaks. Give it up for Armani.
And in the top left-hand corner of the map, it's the red Terran player. Plays for Kaisi Gaming. This is time.
Alright, looks like the microphone volume has been fixed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't do anything, but the mic volume increased on its own. So.
Yeah, I have no idea. Guys, Icontisa's just got a new mic, so we're trying to make sure that everything is all set and everything is all figured out. But there's going to be a little bit of hiccups in the early stages, so just bear with us.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for bearing this unusual increase of volume at the start of the stream. But it should be happen at least too often for this first stream. But I promise it will be fixed the more we go. So therefore I'm not expecting anything too crazy to start things off. So we have an Achkas pool on the side of our Armanis. And for time, we're just gonna see a Reaper and an SCV coming right now to just get the first few scouting informations. Two players that like to get to at least the mid-game stage, so they're probably not gonna go too aggressively. We see actually time go for oh, actually no, yeah, no, never mind. I thought he was taking his second guess, and I was wrong.
Oh. But yeah, we do have the Reaper coming in here. Gonna go ahead and potentially get this drone. Nope, just some nice. Oh, nice around there.
Nice. Oh, that was some quick reflexes on the side of Armani. That's a lot of deny scouting information. Free to spread creep without anything approaching anytime soon. So a little bit of a victory for Armani.
Yeah, always really great feeling for the Zerg to kind of snipe that Reaper really early on and kind of deny the scouting, but also kind of deny the fact that time cannot right now, you know, harass the creep tumors. So Armani should be feeling safe to kind of just like start spreading that creep tumor and connect his second to his third.
That's a very early steam coming on the side of time. I wonder what is a general idea to this, but it is probably going to be some kind of earlier push, since Steam was started way earlier than usual, and we already have a Ver Command Center like a couple seconds from being done. Gonna be 2 more Rexes, and that's a full scouting for Armani. That's some very unusual mistake on the side of time. Letting that Zergling in with this kind of build. That's nasty. Armani doubling it down, 2 Evil Chambers to have a quicker defense and transition easier into the mid game with these upgraded Zerglings. But time is gonna start trying to roost a couple of drones with these aliens, queens in position to stop everything from coming. And it looks like time will not dive in.
Yeah, looks like Armani does have a few Lings there at position. Although maybe he could have actually dive on in with the Hellions, as there's only just a few Lings there.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this scenario, you know, we of course as the observer does have the bird's eye view, know what's everything is going on. But time, on the other hand, he's more in the dark, so of course that would have been a risky kind of decision to dive on in.
Yeah, losing the Reaper also makes for these situations in which you don't know what your opponent is going for like 2 minutes or so, and that kind of hurts your early game. It looks like time is just gonna go on with his game plan, which is try to pump out as many Marines as possible, as quick as possible. 2 Medivacs incoming soon, and this is gonna be a straight up double Medivac drop But Armani is really setting up in a great way for this mid-game transition. His lair is perfectly on time. A macro hatch and his 1-1 upgrades are actually almost done. This is gonna be rough for Time to actually manage to deal damage in this stage.
Yeah, and look at that creep spread. It's like already kind of almost halfway across the map. So Armani's going to have a nice kind of vision as to where the army is positioned, as well as get the queens kind of over to defend, as the creep does help the queen kind of waddle much faster than, of course, if it was not on creep.
These 3 overlords are definitely going to catch the medivacs moving in. Zergling's already in the main, and it looks like Time will not find a good drop position here in the main. Queens trying to get in position themselves to also get a little bit of damage. And once again, medivacs looks like he's going to drop over here. 1-1 is down. These Zerglings sure do pack a punch. A couple Marines have already fallen. Of course, the rest of the Zerglings have to make their way into the main, trying to find a choke point for these Marines to actually survive. Banelings are coming as well. It looks like Time will find 4 drones to kill, and that was pretty much for free. I wasn't really expecting that. He lost a couple Marines, but it's not the biggest of deals. And Armani kind of underestimating the prowess of these double medivac drop. And on the other side, Time is ready to strike again. Couple Marines steaming on top of creep. There are already Banelings with Baneling speed. Medivac will try to go down, but will be killed before anything can happen. These Widowman will not get a great shot. And it looks like Time will have to retreat from that location. No queens are gonna fall over here. Hydraulics are starting to get pumped out from those archeries, and there's another round from the Zerglings getting on top of these Marines, trying to start a step as much as possible. One of the medivac actually falls on the other side. Time ready to strike again at the third archery of Armani. He's gonna get a queen, he's gonna get a Hydra, he's gonna get a bunch of drones, but he's gonna lose quite some Marines for that.
Yeah, he's Time trying to get some damage done left and right, but I mean, Armani still hasn't really suffered too much economic damage, right? He's up 87 right now, workers to 69. So, I mean, Time, yeah, he's getting a few units here and there, but really nothing too significant.
Yeah, he got a couple queens, which is actually great. He got some creep tumors, and he's really pumping out a lot of units at the same time, really not caring too much about economy as of now. But Armani already has an infestation beat. He has started his hive right now at 840. That's a great timing. Armani can really do great things if he handles the storm. Here comes the Baneling's gonna go on top of one of the Widowmines. On this location though, there's not much to defend. On the other side of the map though, a huge Zergling run by will kill 15 SCVs, and in the end, Hydras still deal enough damage to shoo away those medivacs. It was great for Armani. All over the place, getting damage and getting dealt none.
No, that is huge. I mean, he was already behind in workers, but losing 15 workers more, that is not good. I mean, yeah, Mews are good, but they're not that good. They're not gonna make up that much many lost workers. And as you can see, of course, in the income graph, all Armani right now.
Yeah, Time is really desperate to find some damage right now. He's collapsing on the 4th base of Armani with his whole might, his whole army. He's trying to set up over here. That's just one tank, not gonna be doing much against these many Hydras. Here comes the Banelings trying to get on top of these Marines. Not gonna get huge connections, but there's just too many Hydras. These Marines cannot get anywhere close. One of the queens is gonna get sniped. But Time doesn't have enough to break this location. It looks like Armani is just gonna dive on top of everything, and everything will be cleared. Time losing all of his army, and back home 2 more SCVs are gonna go down. Orbital Commander barely survives, and that's 3 Vipers in the making. Armani has handled the storm. He's in higher tech. He has a huge amount of workers. His upgrades are really not too bad. And this is his game to lose right now. Armani's gonna go straight up into the natural and third of time. Gonna catch one of the tanks and gonna catch all of these reinforcements, making their way through the map. Meanwhile, back home, he has way more than enough to deal with whatever time he's gonna send to his side of the map. And with a lurker then done, oh man, this is gonna be rough for time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his Vipers out and about, consuming energy. So once those are joined up into the fight, I mean, all those kind of medevacs are going to be yoinked, as well as the tanks. And after that, he's going to be left with just a bunch of Marines. And Marines, of course, can be easily countered by those banelings that Armani has.
And also the lurkers, actually. Like, right now, lurkers are gonna be such a powerful defensive unit. There's no unit for Armani in this base. He's gonna lose a bunch of drones without actually doing anything. These Marines are not even going to die. That's some nice little damage for time. He's gonna go up to 200 supply himself. His tech is not comparable to the amount of tech structures that Armani has. But he's gonna have +3/+3 in just a little while. I believe there's some way for him to coming back into this game. Let's see if he manages to do so.
Yeah, now he does have the army advantage. He's gonna have the upgrade advantage pretty soon as well. And I mean, could be his timing to kind of get his significant, decent damage done before Armani's his army becomes just way too overwhelming. Some nice kind of cleaning up of these creep tumors should help advance these units a bit more forward. But oh my god, look at those lurkers.
Oh, lurkers getting forward of themselves, and now the Vipers are also wanting to get some plays in the action. A couple lurkers are gonna fall, a couple drones are gonna fall themselves. But on the other side of the map, Zerglings are destroying everything in the base of time. So many drones have fallen. In the end, another abduct is gonna get one of the last few tanks that time had over here. And both players losing so much in this trade, but in the end, Armani looks like he's going to have the upper edge. Time is gonna load up everything in the medivacs and go straight into the main. I like this move so much. There's not anything to deal with this over here. It looks like Time will be backing off. A little bit too scared of losing all of his medivacs to some parasite clouds. Parasite bombs, sorry. And Armani already prepared to deal with a push on the left side.
Oh my god,
Lurkers on all position. And everything just melts to these spiny boys. Oh, Armani is gonna catch the medivacs in the top right. One of the Vipers is gonna falter. There's not many Hydras. That was a little bit of a misplay, but in the end, archery is gonna be cancelled. But still, Time's army will be cleared. There's not many medivacs out right now. It's just the 6.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Time's got to be wondering, what in the world can I do to counter this lurker play? He is going to go ahead and start adding that Ghost Academy, which should at least help somewhat. You can use those ghosts to kind of snipe out those lurkers, but it's going to have to take a lot of ghosts to do so, because he got a bunch of lurkers. In fact, he has 9 out in the field right now.
Liberators are also going to do a great job against those lurkers, but still way too scared about these Vipers doing too much damage to this army right now before ghosts are out. And Armani is definitely looking for some way to get through the map. He's gonna go on top of this cliff. Lurkers are sieged before the tanks. Here comes the parasitic cloud. The blinding cloud. The whole army of Time gets cleared in an instant. Not even need to use that abduct, because these Hydras are just too high in number. Time is trying to retreat. His production is still pretty great, but these lurkers are gonna stop everything from ever existing for such a long time. 11, 15, 20 SCVs dying. Another abduct gonna go on top of one of these tanks. Liberator trying to do its best to siege up in a great spot, but Time needs to top out. The first game of the series goes to the side of Armani.
Alright, well played there. Armani kind of seemingly was ahead throughout that whole game, I felt like. Time just didn't really do too much in the early mid game as well. So, I mean, Armani, he just droned up like crazy. Just kind of had a crazy micro, went up to like 90 plus workers, which is over over droning, I think, at some point. I think Zergs usually like to kind of stay at like the high 70s, 80s mark. But I mean, he didn't really have to worry too much. He could just go ahead and drone up all the way to 90 plus workers, get his macro up and running, and just kind of overrun the Terran there.
Yeah, having all of those upgrades ready so quickly, having so many resources to replenish his army. It was overall a great macro game from ARMANI, like really handling his defensive spots very well. And Time on the other side, losing a little bit too many SCVs here and there, losing some of his army basically for free. He was able to bite back in a couple different scenarios, but it wasn't just enough. You know, it wasn't just that tiny bit of more damage that he had to deal to actually get himself a transition, and he never went to that stage of the game.
Oh wow! Once again, your mic just all of a sudden just increased by a lot.
Okay, so it looks like it changes every time the game starts.
Ah, okay, I see. Interesting. We'll try to figure that out, but looks like it's back to normal, so it's all good.
All right.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our first player of game number 2?
We're on Submarine for the second game of this series. The player here in the top left-hand corner, spawning as the Blue Zerg, is currently leading the series with a convincing victory in game number 1. Can he make it to It's a Freak of Freaks, ARMANI?
And spawning here at the bottom right corner of the map, he is your Red Terran player from Kaizi Gaming. Get up for Time. Do you know by any chance that Cyndi Lauper song, Time After Time?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, one of the classic
Time
songs.
after time.
Yeah, every time I see Time, I am reminded of that song for some reason.
Oh, that's many songs that have the word time in it.
Yeah.
Not many that has ARMANI in it.
Nope.
That I know of, at least.
Yeah, I just only think about the suit, the ARMANI suit.
Ooh.
All right, looks like a little bit of a pause there by Time. Hopefully, nothing too serious. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
All right, good.
Game resumed.
So we're here on Submarine LE on game number 2. Of course, this is one of the shorter maps in the map pool, and it kind of really favors kind of those aggressive pushes. If you can park some of the tanks behind the rocks area, that can also be a pretty troublesome kind of situation for the Zerg, as he's gonna have to kind of get a nice little surround, get a little backside flank in order to kind of clean up and get on top of the tanks. But we shall see if Time does decide to go for that.
For now, he's gonna try to get some damage done with his Reaper. Gonna at least try to get a couple links, maybe just... aside from scouting information, just forcing some little loss of minerals. Not gonna happen though. ARMANI straight too good on his defense against the Reaper. It seems like one of the links is very bruised. The Creep Tumor gets sniped. That's not great. Not great at all. With these early Verdash, you need Creep Tumors as early as possible, because you need the other Queen's energy to get used for injects, and you need to have Creep spread for when the Hellion comes.
Yeah, I mean, that distance between the natural and the dirt is quite far, so... Oh my god, is he gonna... he's gonna get a second Creep Tumor? I was about to say, like... That's pretty devastating. Yeah,
for a second it looked like he was about to dive in, but yeah, he didn't. It was the right choice, didn't have the grenade, and his Reaper was pretty bruised. So ARMANI mixing stuff up with this Roach Warren being started at his natural. And Banshee's Cloak. 4th time. This game is getting already a little bit crazier than I was expecting. Banshee's Cloak is not that crazy. But Roach Warren against Banshee, that gets ugly very, very fast.
Yeah, and he's gonna get a scout of it. Gonna know that Banshees are on the way. He does have the lair coming up, so that should allow him to kind of have access to those overseers to spot those Banshees. But Banshee is one of those units that even if you scout it, somehow, some way, they just manage to get some type of damage no matter what. So just gotta make sure he parks his queens in the right position, get those spores or overseers in the correct place to help thwart off those Banshees.
And with 6 aliens and the Reaper over here at the third base of Armani, Time already proving himself to be quite the handful in this game number 2. After not a great game 1 start, that's gonna be 8 aliens. It looks like he just wants to dive on those mineral lines as soon as he can. Queens trying to get themselves in position as much as possible. That's why creep is so important. And Time doesn't really find a way to get in.
Yeah, it looks like Armani just has this down pat. Got the the Overlord out in the middle, so you can kind of spot where these Hellings are. But those Banshees are on their way across the map, and we'll see if Armani has the counter for it. Looks like, yep, he has the Queens and the Overseer there. So wonderful defense.
Once again, Armani proving us that his recent GSL run wasn't just a random thing happening, and he really stepped up this game lately. These aliens can't get anywhere close. They get a creep tumor, but whatever. As of now, losing the one Hellion that was in the front, while Armani has vision of all the possible third bases of Time and sees that he got none. Gonna drop down that Spire and try to get damage as soon as possible. Time doesn't really have much going on right now. His third command center just being made into an orbiter command. He's gonna start making some marines and stuff up, but Armani is already getting the upper end of him economy wise, and these mutas are just gonna make it worse.
Yeah, do we have anti-air? Yeah, he does have some marines, but
Yeah, a couple.
okay, yeah, he's now throwing down that turret there, so should be fine against a Mutalisk, in theory, of course.
Yeah. That's quite a blind reaction, which I like. Time looks like he did his homeworks for his opponent. He's gonna see the first mutas coming out right now. All those mutas could devastate that army very quickly. But there's a bunch of marines already making their way, and mutas are gonna try to snipe a couple key units. No way they're gonna find damage back home for Time. And it looks like some marines are gonna be left behind to try and fight the mutas. Not enough of them. The tank is under attack. Gonna survive. These queens are gonna be so important to deal with the Banshees. Meanwhile, Hellions trying to get on top of as many Zerglings as possible. Not gonna do much. Here comes the rest of the Zerglings, and the mutas alike gonna dive on top of that tank. The last few marines are left scrambling and waiting for reinforcements.
Oh man, that was a bit scary there, because of course when the Zerg player is going for Mutalisk, that is kind of one of his vulnerable timings. So he's not going to have as much on the ground, but he just barely eked out enough. But does he have enough for the second wave?
Oh, he's gonna snipe down one of the Medivacs before he can do anything, splitting his mutas even. That was kind of crazy. Meanwhile, these marines are still trying to steam on top of that, and the Hatcher will survive. The rest of the mutas will be sent fighting the marines, and that's not a fight they can take. Not enough Zerglings. Another queen is gonna fall. These banelings are not fast. They're gonna try and get on top of the marines. They now are very fast. They very bruise the marines, and the mutas are gonna come cleaning everything up. After every loss he took, Armani takes a very convincing defense over here. He's gonna get both those Medivacs out. And man, that's a lot of lost resources for Time.
Yeah, as we see in the units lost tab, we do see that there's a 3.3k minerals, 900 for 900 gas lost 4 times. On the other hand, Armani does lose 4.2 2-ish K and then 1.2K gas.
Yeah, but right, Zergs always like lose more resources. Like it always happens. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter as long as the Terran is taking some big losses himself. Right now, time though has many more workers than Armani. Armani just being dropped his 4th, just starting to mine his 4th base. He's gonna be finding himself at a very awkward transition into the mid game. His mute account is not high enough to fight the main army. His Zerglings upgrades are pretty much gonna be always worse than the ones of time for these bio units. So I'd say that Armani will feel a little bit uncomfortable in the next few minutes of this game. Oh, that's a great surround. Oh my god, one of the medivacs is gonna fall down immediately to those mutas. Once +2 kicks in, those mutas are surely gonna pack a punch.
Oh yeah, and we have currently 14 mulas out on the field. If that number continues to rise, it's gonna get to the point where, you know, you're gonna have to get like 3, 4, 5 turrets in a single base just to cover the mutalist, which is gonna be pretty annoying.
Alright, looks like Armani is kind of trying to get as much control as possible of the map. It's gonna spread a lot of overloads, gonna keep his medivacs hunting stuff down. Oh, but time really is building up a huge army as of now. Getting this 4th base well defended with a planetary fortress. Will it be on time? First Widowmine is not gonna get as much damage as he wanted. Second one does though, and that's a lot of dead Zerglings. This base is surely not gonna fall, and Armani needs to strike elsewhere, and he finds this base not so well defended. These Zerglings trying to buy as many SCV as possible. Meanwhile, the mutas are gonna dive on top of all of these SCVs, gonna get a bunch of damage, but I don't really know if this was worth the cost. Armani losing so much of his own supply. These doors are starting to devastate the mutas. Mutas don't have yet +2. The doors are destroying them, and they have to back off for the time being. And that's not great again for Armani. Time almost maxed out. He's gonna lose a bunch of workers, but look at his army steaming on creep at the 4th base of Armani. Armani already transferring all of his drones out of here. And that's already a little bit of a disaster for the Zerg player.
Yeah, but there is the 2-2 upgrade about to finish there, though, so that should favor or help out the Zerg in dealing with this Bio army. And you know what? A lot of them are Marines. I mean, if you can get some nice Baneling connections, that might be able to kind of turn the momentum back back forward to Armani. But we shall see, because these creep tumors are actually pretty recessed, so it's going to be a bit more difficult to get those connections.
A bunch of Banelings are not gonna take great connections over here. This base is 100% of the times going down. All time is gonna go diving on top of it, and here comes Armani. So many Banelings getting such a bad connection overall. Armani is gonna try to strike back. A huge run by, actually. So many Zerglings and Mutas alike are destroying the economy of time. But back home, he needs way more stuff. 27 Banelings in the making. He needs every single one of them to catch the army of time and shoo it away from his creep tumors. Creep spread gonna be put at a serious disadvantage over here. It looks like time has made his way into the fur base of Armani, and that's not enough Banelings yet. The army of the Terran player is spread out, and he's sending reinforcements now. He's gonna start to dive on top of this hatchery. Hatchery is not gonna survive. Armani back to 3 bases he goes. Widowmines trying to get connections. Here comes the Banelings, here comes the Zerglings, here comes the Mutas. Every single thing is trying to get connections, and that's great connections. Armani, what a mighty defense from this Zerg player. But now, he needs to collect himself, get every single thing that time broke up, and put it together, because this is not the stage you want to be as a Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, especially the amount of bases right now. I mean, he is kind of trying to get a another base here at the bottom left, but I expect that's going to be canceled very, very soon by this Marine squadron. But yeah, right now Armani, I think he's just hurting for resources. He just doesn't have enough bases to kind of mine off to kind of keep up with the Terran player, and he's going to have to just rely on getting some really favorable engagement to at least keep up and keep even with the Terran.
He's probably never going to have as many banelings as he had this last fight. He saved as many as possible, yes, but this is still a very bad scenario. That's a bunch of mutas. They can try to snipe some key units. They have +2, they deal damage. But Armani still doesn't have enough. Look at time, already trying to hit Hero in the top right side. And there's nothing over there for Armani. Nothing to deal with this. This archery is gonna need it to be cancelled. Here comes a bunch of Zerglings, but Widowmine's already gonna get as much damage as possible. Here comes the mutas as well. It's not gonna be a cancel. The Medivacs are gonna try to Doom drop into the main, but time is moving his army in a way that can catch Armani out of position, and he surely is starting to find some tiny bits of damage here and there, getting some crypt tumors more. And Armani is kind of pinned right now on this left side of the map. He cannot move from there.
Yeah, this left side is actually going to be a really big point of contention, as both the players are expanding towards that side. Ooh, actually Armani got some nice burrowed banelings onto the right side, but looks like the army will go ahead and come from below, and some really nice pre-spread there by time.
It looks like Armani is gonna set up a counter-attack once more. These banelings are gonna try to get as many connections as possible. They're gonna clean up these Marines eventually. Here comes a bunch of more Zerglings. Actually, the Marines are not completely cleaned up. There's still a bunch more. This base is gonna get killed 100%. Meanwhile, mutas really trying their best to deal as much damage as possible, but Time's army is well spread out and is gonna be defending effortlessly while striking back at Armani. This doesn't look like the greatest Armani game ever after so many huge defenses. Time looks like he found a way to break him up.
Right now, Armani's trump card is these mulas. He's gonna have to try to get as much damage as he can. Try to keep time back at home with these mulas, but time already know what's up. He's got a force of Marines and Thors out in here in the middle. Does Armani have enough banelings?
Oh, I don't think so. Banelings already know in number. They're gonna get a couple good connections, but looks like it wasn't enough, and another base of the Zerg needs to be cancelled. Huge run by of Zerglings is gonna almost kill this base. Meanwhile, the mutas are destroying the economy of time, currently at 31 workers. His production is actually under attack, but what does Armani have back home? Does he have enough to defend this? I really doubt that. I really don't think so. Armani going on full base trade. That's 26 more banelings, and he needs every single one of them. Armani losing another base yet once more. These mutas really dealing the damage. The production is safe for the time being. Oh, here comes the banelings trying to get on every single marine. The spreads from time, and it looks like the connections will not be as good as Armani was thinking. Mutas transferring, going into another base, going to fight those missile turrets, but the SCVs are out repairing their damage. Not today, says time, and Armani finds himself struggling yet once more. He's gonna try and get even more damage. Time is actually gonna send the army to the mutas? No, he doesn't. A couple marines. But the rest of the army is so strong right now for time. Armani has a couple banelings. They cannot make their way onto those rocks. And another base is gonna be clean. GG gets gold, and time gets the second game of the series.
Yeah, we'll tie up the series 1-1. And really great play there by time, dealing with the Mutalisk. Even though it was a bit annoying, the Mutalisk was kind of just flying across the different bases. He had the three upgrades with those on those Marines. He had the doors. He had a lot of favorable engagements and was able to kind of take out bases and kind of keep the Zerg's economy in check throughout that whole game.
Yeah, it was a really well played game by time. It was just so relentless on his assault. It was so surgical in a way. Like, you always hit at the right spot at the right time with the right amount of units. He always took some losses, yes, but the losses Armani took were way superior. Every single turn for Armani was a little small victory for time.
Yeah. But we're going to head into game number 3 on a different map on Jagannatha, which is going to be a bit different compared to Submarine, of course. Jagannatha does have those 4 acceleration zones that both players will have to kind of adapt and deal with. But here we go. Game number 3.
And you know what? I also fixed the mic issue.
Oh, how?
It was like in the settings, it was giving exclusive access to applications to change stuff up, and StarCraft 2 has by default voice chat to 100%.
Ah, I see. Nice, nice. Awesome. That's good news.
All right. Let's get into introducing our players for this third game of the series. Here on Jagannatha, in the bottom left-hand corner, the Bluezer player is spawning, playing for Africa Freaks. It is ARMANI.
And he is the red Terran player on the top right corner of the map. He is from the team of KaiZ Gaming. Make some noise for time. Time after time.
Oh, back to Jagannatha we go. Oh, Zerg players surely do love this map.
Yes, they do.
Gigantic.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of kind of avenues for those expansions. There's like I think like 3 separate different entranceway to that, you know, that third base of the Zerg that's like right next to the main base, or I guess kind of the inner base, if you could say.
Yeah.
And then if you go into the 6 o'clock position, there's 2 kind of avenues for that as well. So yeah, a lot of I guess open space for the Zerg players to kind of take advantage of.
Yeah, there's some really good reasons why this map is widely considered one of the best Zerg maps in the pool, if not the best one. But indeed, there are a lot of ways that opponents can really put the Zerg to the test. It looks like time is gonna start it off with this Reaper. Always good run for starters, but the Queen is gonna be out and force this Reaper out of the Terran side of the Zerg side of the map. Oh, Reaper! Oh, almost gets the tumor, but Armani almost gets the Reaper. It seems like, okay, the archer is just gonna be dropped in time before the Reaper can block it. Little bit of a stressful dance, more stressful than usual, at least, between Lynx and Reaper.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Looks like Armani is going for the Overlord speed here. Looks like he will go ahead and try to dive on in. Now, it kind of makes sense because this map, it does have a really big, wide main base there. So getting that Overlord speed allows the Overlord to dive on in and has a chance to actually survive through the scouting. So a nice choice here. Of course, you know, you gotta sometimes adapt your build to the map, like the pros and cons of the map, and this is kind of one of the adaptations that Armani is going to go for.
Having the chance to start Overlord speed without being punished is a thing that Zerg players are always going to take. And Armani, of course, is gonna take that chance. Gonna start his overload speed now. He's gonna get that scouting information. This overload, I feel like he's sadly still going to die. Oh my god.
One life. One freaking life.
That must be a joke. Well, good for Armani. The other overlord is gonna try to find some more scouting information, and by now Armani has total vision of what is happening in the base of time. Here comes a bunch of aliens, but once more Armani is kind of clean in his alien defense. He really doesn't lead many open areas to the case. He really looks on the top of every single location time tries to strike. These aliens being under overlords means they're not gonna surprise Armani. Oh, the Liberator will though. And now Armani finds himself a little bit struggling. Aliens are gonna dive on top of one of the queens. It looks like the Liberator is gonna be the main thing to kill right now. One of the queens barely survives due to one transfuse. It looks like Armani's defense was a little bit less clean than I was thinking it was. But in the end, everything is gonna be cleared out. These aliens cannot really make their way back in. They're gonna try, maybe try to get a couple Zerglings, but of course, they're not gonna dive again.
That could have definitely gone much worse for Armani, so I actually like that. I mean, look at the units lost tab. 15 Zerglings is a lot for one Hellion and one Liberator, but at the very least, no drones has been killed. He's still on 3 bases compared to 2 bases. So
it could have been much worse, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Spire incoming. Every single one of those drones count. You're not gonna be making many of those for a little while. So 8 more are incoming. A 4th base is probably going to be next on the menu for the Zerg player. But this Spire here on a huge map is surely gonna make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think similar to last game, the Mutalisk can kind of fly around. There's a lot of airspace between the main and the third of the Terran, so you can just kind of fly back and forth and then kind of park your Mutalisk at that dead space. And then, of course, you can just kind of fly around to between the main and the natural. But looks like Time is going to go ahead and try to put some pressure on the Zerg side of the map.
That's a lot of Hellbats for one army. Armani is gonna try to set up as many Banelings as possible to deal with them. Baneling speed is done. The Banelings are gonna get some very good connections actually, and the Mutas are gonna be coming to try and sweep the rest of the army. Hellbats are not gonna deal too much damage. This archery is very low on health right now, well, half on health right now, but the Muta hand has been showed, and back home a bunch of Widowmines and more Marines are gonna be produced. Still no missile turrets. That's interesting. Here comes the first one. There's many Widowmines in a good location, and Armani doesn't have enough Mutas to break through. He's gonna be waiting to have a higher number. 2 Evo Chambers in the making. It looks like Armani is gonna be setting up on a little bit of a defensive stance and maybe try to force Time back home with his Mutas.
Yeah, because of the Mutalisk, you gotta be careful not to kind of go across the map unless you have enough army, because if you try to retreat, the Mutalisk can get on top of those medevacs. So gotta be careful not to kind of go across the map with only less than wanted amount of units.
For a second, I thought both those Widowmines were about to get shots on the Mutas.
That would have been nice. That would definitely been nice. So
that would have been like probably Armani topping out of the game.
I know. Right now, like a lot is invested in those Mutalisks. So
yeah, they're the main tool for Armani to get a victory this game. Here comes a bunch of Marines trying to set up a good fight over here. Yeah. Like these Widowmines a lot, to be honest. Like that location really forces Time to really forces Armani in a bad spot. Having these many Widowmines means that he can never really dive on top of anything, and he can really never get advantage of like the strength that Zerg has on this map. The third base of time this time is a little bit more exposed than before, so who knows? Maybe some damage will be dealt this time.
Yeah, those banelings being morphed here on the right side, and it's going to go ahead and start rolling in.
Oh, it looks like the Terran player found a way to defend that just in time. So many SCVs are gonna be ready now, but that's no +2 upgrades. Banelings cannot one-shot those SCVs.
Yeah, and speaking of upgrades, oh man, looks like time is going to get further and further ahead, because right now his 2-2 is about to be done the same time as 1-1 is about to be done for Armani. So Armani is quite behind on the upgrades.
Yeah, that's another huge run by from the Zerg player. It's gonna catch a bunch of SCVs, but I feel like this is too many Zerglings. I feel like, I don't know about this. It's gonna get so many SCVs, to be honest. Like 18, 19, alright, this is dealing way more damage than it should have. 19 SCVs is a huge amount. Oh, that call it bang for its bucks. These mutas are gonna dive in and try to get even more damage, but they cannot deal as much damage as the Zerglings. Welcome to Zerg, everybody.
Oh man, right now it's a pretty scary time here for Armani. He threw a lot of lings away during that, right? He got a lot of SCVs, but right now he's gonna have to kind of restock on those banelings.
I don't feel like this base is going to be defended in any way. Armani is fighting back again. Another run by. Oh man, this archery is surely gonna go down, but that's enough banelings to clear the army of time once the fight starts. The mutas are gonna dive as well. I don't know about that. Armani will need to back off for the time being. Here comes the banelings diving on top of the army of time. Not gonna get much damage. The rest of the army is still up and standing, and Armani is way too split out. Here comes the rest of the banelings. 11 drones have been killed. This story is still standing. Banelings trying to make their ways into the marines off creep. Not gonna find every single one of them. The rest of the units of time are making their way through the map, and it looks like Armani finds himself struggling once more. Another hatchery goes down. These mutas are stopping every single reinforcement unit from coming, but there's no baneling. Banelings are gonna be made here in the natural. Baneliness is gonna be sniped by time. This is awesome news for the Terran player, and a disaster for Armani. He's striking back. He gets another 13 SCVs, but back home his base is in shambles. Here comes the rest of the banelings. Finally, the army of time will be eventually cleared by the mutas. But this is not losses that you can take as the Zerg player. Another hatchery down. You have the hive, my dear Armani, but what are you going to do with it?
My goodness, that was such a beautiful spread there by time. Gets the natural hatchery. I mean, granted, there was not a lot of minerals left there, but still getting some really valuable, efficient trades there. And time is looking to head into game number 4 with a 2-1 lead.
Sniping the Baneling Nest, sniping the Spire. Like, these are such great victories for time overall. And you can see in this, Armani doesn't have a lot of Banelings with this. He doesn't have a lot of mutas. He does have a bunch of Zerglings, but what are they going to do right now? Here comes the Banelings trying to trap time in between a huge amount of changelings. It looks like this little trick has worked, but this base is still going to fall. That was nice.
Yeah,
that was clever.
I'm trying to imagine like time is trying to split. He's like, why isn't my marine ain't splitting? Oh, they're changelings.
There's so many of them. Alright, time is gonna be sending another wave of marines through the map. Crypt tumors are the target this time, and so many crypt tumors will be killed. Armani has zero vision on the map right now. Another round of banelings trying to get on top of the marines. These Winomites are gonna connect on just the queens. That was not great, but the splits of times are absolutely insane. What are these two Swarmos doing here?
Oh my goodness. I mean, we always see that random one swarm host, but now this game we have 3 random swarm hosts out in the field. I mean, you can't be a true Zerg without these random Swarm Hosts, right?
Yeah, right. But these are very random. Like 3 of them. Oh, that's Jerry, Robert, and Tommy. For me. Alright, Mutas are gonna be diving on top of the Marines, and that's a fight that's gonna go awful for Armani. GG gets cold. Time gets the game 3 victory and leads the series 2-1.
Yeah, really well done there. Great micro, I gotta say, by Time throughout that game and during those crucial engagements. So, well done, definitely. Well-deserved win.
It was a very beautiful way to play the matchup since game 2. And Armani kind of struggling with his Spire play. I'm not really too sure if he's supposed to do that again, but I really feel like he should change his cards up a little bit.
Yeah, possibly. We'll see, I guess.
We're setting up the 4th set of this series. Next map is going to be Lightshade once more, Armani's choice. The series is still quite long, still a best of 9. Time still needs 3 more victories to gain the 1st place, but he is kind of off to a good start. Doesn't look like Armani was looking far superior in game number 1, but game number 2 and 3 kind of struggling against the style that Time has prepared for today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, still not over. It is a long best of 9, so plenty of more opportunities for Armani to crawl himself back into the lead. But of course, we do have Time heading into game number 4 with a 2-1 lead. And here we go. Game number 4 on Lightshade LE.
In the top left-hand corner of the map, he's spawning as the blue Zerg. He plays for Afrika Freaks. He's currently behind in this best of 9 series. Makes a noise for Armani.
And spawning here at the bottom right, he's the red Terran player, arguably the best Chinese player out there. Hailing from Kaizi Gaming, it is Time.
So once more we're gonna find ourselves on a fairly short map. I've seen many wave things happen on this map for their players, and it looks like the general idea, at least for European Zergs, is that going for a Roach Ravager kind of bust play is probably the best thing to do here. Many Zerg players actually dislike this map for one reason or another. Well, I feel like there's no real feature this map has that makes this matchup worse for the Zerg. It looks like it's been mistaken a little bit as an aggro map, while I think it can be a very easily defensible map.
Well, similar to Submarine, it's a very short rush distance, as well as the ramp, the natural ramp area is on even ground, so you know, things like vision on the top isn't very necessarily an issue compared to, let's say, Pillars of Gold or something like that. So yeah, I think definitely a Roach Rush is very possible. But of course, maybe Terran players out there knows this and they go straight into Banshee play. We did see Time in one of those games did open up with a Hellion Banshee play, so we'll see if Time goes for that once again. He's definitely leading into it, as there is a reactor coming into the barracks, which should be switched off with the factory.
Yeah, it's also like Armani is not really the Ravager bust type of player. Oh, one Zergling is gonna fall. First blood for Time. And oh my god, the Reaper. Slippery dude. 3 elf left on this guy. He's gonna survive. I got 2 kills actually. What was the second one? Oh, 2 Zerglings. Oh, not too shabby.
Yeah, any kills you can get from the Reaper is always a good thing. It's really mainly just to kind of scout and keep the Zerg at bay in terms of the creep tumor, and then also possibly deny the drone from expanding to the dirt base. But of course, Zergs over time has sent out their drone, their third base drone, rather quickly and kind of hide it before the time is right.
Here comes the Roach Warren for Armani. We've seen him taking also in game number 2, and he didn't make a single Roach throughout the whole game. Do you feel like this time it will be different? Because time really looks like he's going to go for that huge amount of aliens, and then getting as many Marines out as possible soon after.
Yeah, I mean...
That's the 2-1-1.
Oh, yeah. Looks like it's going to be a 2-1-1-ish. I mean, he has an early dirt, so not the straight-up 2-1-1 that we know of. But, yeah, I think the Roach Warren is going to definitely help out for Armani. It's going to help counter the Hellions as well as any Marines. So, I mean, imagine if he just go ahead and holds pretty easily and just go for a straight-up counterattack. Like, what does time going to have to defend against that, really?
Not much. And Armani is not really making drones whatsoever. Like, 10 Zerglings in production, 8 Roaches. And he's making his way for the map.
Oh, this is so good for Armani. He's distracting and pulling those Hellions back home to defend against these kind of distracting Lings. They're not really there to kind of kill. They're just mainly just to distract. Right now, time has no clue that the Hellions and Ravagers are making this way across the map right now.
That's such a powerful attack. So many Zerg players are really getting so much damage done. One of the Ravagers is gonna show up over here. The Hellions trying to dive on top of the reinforcements, but the rest of the Zerglings have a very easy avenue into the main base of time. They're gonna find the Marines left waiting for them. But here comes the Ravagers ready to pile down all of this bio army. Good dodge from time. It looks like these Ravagers are gonna be the most important thing. One of the Ravagers almost falls, and he will survive in the end. This third base is gonna be lifted up, and it looks like Armani has found himself a way to get into the natural. Supply depots under attack right now, under fire. They're all gonna fall to the might of the Ravagers. Piles raining from the sky on top of the Terran base. And here comes the Zerglings ready to deal with the aliens. Elbats is gonna be the call, turning them into these flamethrowers, guys. The Ravagers are still dealing so much damage to everything else, scouting backwards, getting damage. And here comes the Hellbats trying to get as much AoE as possible. Gonna get one of the Ravagers, SCVs, pulled into the fight as well. And in the end, time clears the Ravagers. Zergling's gonna get 7 kills of these SCVs, but there's no more damage to be taken by Armani over here, not without Ravagers.
Ooh, that was such a close call there. But time does manage to eventually hold on. He's got the 3 bases. Worker count is actually in favor of time after that. I mean, of course, Armani did invest a lot of resources into those Lings and Ravagers and Roaches, so makes sense. And now time really is kind of his game, his game to lose at this point, right?
Yeah, definitely. Time already setting up his mid-game production facilities. He has his 2 NG base. And you know what? I do like that Armani is not really stepping back. His foot is still on the throttle right now. 24 more Zerglings incoming, Ravagers as well. Doesn't even have a Roach speed. It doesn't even have a lair as far as I'm concerned. And right now, Roaches fighting Marines, not the best. Ravager are gonna pile down the Liberator. That's kind of great, to be honest. And one of the Roaches will actually survive being turned into a Ravager. That's a great move by Armani. And right now, his army is doubling the army of time. Zerglings are gonna get on top of all of these SCVs, getting very easy and free kills. And now they're in the main, full scouting, while the rest of the army of Armani is making its way through the map. Time tries to strike a little bit sooner than he probably should have, because Armani, once he all in, don't forget to all in. And he's taking his words very seriously.
Oh, that might have been a huge mistake there by Armani, or rather by time. Kind of overextending, losing all those Marines. If he just sat back at home and just continuously, you know, mine from that dirt base, you know, get the production up, get better army compared to Armani, or compared to Armani, because right now all he had was really just Marines, and those roaches and Ravagers just really deals well against those. So kind of overextending. I don't like that move from Time, and now Armani is kind of knocking on the front door here. We'll see if Time can manage to hold off after this unpause goes through, but I mean, look at the army supply. Armani is 30 army supply ahead, so gonna be a pretty scary hold here for Time.
And it's not really looking better on the side of worker count. Worker count is dead even right now. That's a bad spot to be. As Time, the Ravagers are gonna pile down that tank so easily. Actually piling down on top of the Bio Army. Needs to start a step backwards. Armani taking a little bit of an unfavorable fight, but 19 workers are gonna fall, and the rest of the Zerglings are ready to get on top of these Marines, steaming a little bit too much, and that's a very bruised amount of Marines. This tank is still up. That's 2 Ravagers, not enough to pile it down, but the Zerglings do not care. The Zerglings will get on top of it. Every single unit from Time will be cleared. Production is still up there, but will be up there for a little bit more. I don't know about that at all. Third base still needs to be lifted. Armani takes another huge victory and he's doubling it down. He's making more units. He's not stepping back. Time holds for a little while longer, but I really don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of replenishing his army with just mainly Lings, which actually is not ideal. I think you would probably want more Roaches or Ravagers at this point. But right now, he doesn't have a lot of mineral. I mean, not a lot of gas. He's got a lot of minerals, so he's got to at least waste some of those minerals. So really, the only thing he can make right now is a Link, which is not gonna get it done against what Time has.
That's a huge blind side from Armani, catching all of these Marines out of position. And meanwhile, the piles go down. Time needs to load up and back off. The tank is gonna be destroyed so quickly by these Zerglings. Zerglings actually fighting the SCVs. I don't know about that. The tank was gonna be piled down to death. But as you can see, Time has really caught up in army supply. Another Ravager will fall. Piles are gonna whiff once more. Armani doubling it down again. He's gonna be adding one more extractor to the party. And this extractor is well needed for more roaches. But does he have enough time? Oh, I don't know.
Oh man, does Time have enough time? Gotta love the puns.
I can't stay away from a word that is used commonly and is part of the name of a player.
Oh man. Alright. That's a lot of Lings here, but that is also a lot of Marines. This is pretty much do or die, right? I mean,
+1/+1 is done for Time. It's not great. Also, I think Armani needs to start spread those piles instead of clumping them all on one single side of the army. That's a whole full dive of Zerglings. It looks like one of the Medivac is gonna be caught up into the pile down of the army of Armani, but I don't know if that was enough. It looks like in the end these queens are going to survive, but these Ravagers are so bruised. Queens are gonna fall, every single one of them. Zerglings are trying to fight these Marines, but there's one more tank. Time takes the 3-1 lead. And Armani really did his best this game, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was pretty much a Hail Mary play there by Armani. Not the worst map to actually pull out that, that timing attack, but still, it was a pretty impressive hold there by Time. And he will take a 3-1 lead in the series, so inching closer and closer to that 5th win.
Yeah, it was overall a really good show of defensive patience from Time. He really didn't play his end a little bit too forward. He really tried to step back as much as possible. He took his losses graciously. He didn't really make a big fuss after losing that many SCVs. And you know what? That's how you should play against such aggressive builds. And he showed us perfectly how to hold down that kind of Ravager bust.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're about to head into game number 5, but we're gonna go ahead and just give a little bit of love to one of our sponsors. Without our sponsors, events like these would not be possible. So I want to go ahead and kind of show you a little clip here regarding G Fuel. G Fuel is kind of the official energy drink of esports. They're really amazing. They got some nice shaker cups as well. But we're going to go ahead and pass it to one of our caster passer to explain what G Fuel is all about. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Would like to take a moment to remind you guys that events like this would not be made possible without the support from sponsors like G Fuel. G Fuel is the official drink of esports, made with zero sugar and packed with vitamins and antioxidants. So ramp up your energy from 0 to 100 really fast and sharpen your focus so that you can keep your eye on the prize. It also increases your endurance because, as we all know, gaming is a marathon and not a sprint. Lastly, G Fuel hydrates you so that you only thirst for victory. So go ahead and head on over to gfuel.com and check out the variety of flavors that G Fuel has to offer, as well as their cool shaker cups like this one. Thank you, G Fuel, for supporting Alpha X, and hope you all stay hydrated, my friends. Now back to the games.
All right. Thank you, Pastor. And also thank you, G Fuel, for helping support the esports community. And here we go. We're about to head into Romanticide LE as our next map.
Yep, after a little bit of a break, both players. Oh.
Game paused.
Okay. Looks like...
Well, he said go-go. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, everything is good. Everything is good.
Let's get into introductions. We're in the top left-hand side of Romanticide, where the blue Zerg is currently spawning. He's in a little bit of a bad spot, losing 3 in a row. Must feel bad, but he can make it through. He needs your love, guys. Make some noise for Africa Freaks, ARMANI.
And spawning at the bottom right corner of the map, from Team Kaisi Gaming, he's the red Terran player. He is Time. So of course we're here on Romanticide, the map where we passionately make love to one another and then get back to StarCrafting.
Why not both?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's another very, very big map. There's so many different choke points. It's a very hard map to play, in my opinion. Probably one of the hardest of the pool. But it can make for some interesting macro games, since it has a fairly defensible 4 base position. So, and getting on the map is actually pretty hard. So it makes for one of those maps. It kind of ships for the Terran, being the race that likes to send flying things full of units through the map. But that's another thing entirely. We'll see how both players try to approach the game.
Yeah, and also one thing about this map is that it's fairly wide open, so these lings surrounds are much more frequent, or maybe even some roach surround as well.
You need to get through a lot of choke points to get to these open areas, though.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like it has both things. Like there are some huge open areas, and there are so many little choke points here and there. If you break these rocks, though, I do agree with you. If you break the rocks, the map suddenly becomes so open.
Yeah, and that could definitely favor Armani.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think the playstyle of Time is more kind of multi-prong, kind of harass, a lot of drops here and there. And
Yeah.
that's not going to really require him to kind of move his whole army through the middle and allow himself to get surrounded. So, I mean, if maybe it was against a player like maybe, let's see, like one of the more macro Terrans, like Innovation or something, or maybe I don't know. A lot of Terran players I feel like are really harass oriented.
Yeah, it is true. Some of them are more like I'm gonna make a huge timing and I'm never gonna stop sending units through the map. And some of them are more like trying to get some surgical damage here and there. Try not to strike and then retreat and then strike again and then retreat and then strike again and retreat. Well, I feel like players like maybe TY are more like those kind of players who just make a decisive maneuver once in the game. Like, this moment is when I want to start dealing damage, and from that moment onwards, they kind of never stop sending their army through the map.
Yeah, TY is a good example. I think maybe Kier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, in some ways, Dream, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like players like Maru like to have some little skirmishes, strike in some points, and then trying to back off. They do not really like the style you were talking about, like multi-pronged strike oriented type of skirmishes. That's kind of the play style of some other Terrans. Time is, I feel like he's more the type of guy who likes to just have one decisive maneuver and then going onwards and onwards and onwards. He splits his army in two and strikes at different locations. Yes, that's something you have to do in some way. But I feel like he's the kind of player who just decides one moment when he wants to be the aggressor. And he just keeps on sending reinforcements and reinforcements.
Yeah, one of the great strengths of Time is the split. There's some Terrans that are split.
Insane.
Yeah. His micro is definitely insane, and that really favors during kind of those big, huge engagements where he's got to split against Banelings, mass Banelings. And so I think Time really kind of prefers one of those like one-hit timing, or not one-hit timing, but those big engagements instead of like those smaller skirmishes dropping back and forth, left and right. So
it reminds me a lot of Bomber in a way. They kind of have a similar playstyle in some ways.
Yeah, definitely to see that. Yeah.
Alright, looks like Time is gonna be finding one of these windows of trying to deal damage. It's gonna be a bunch of roaches waiting for him, a bunch of ravages as well. It seems like Armani is gonna be trying to get to a mostly ranged army with the roach Glide reconstitution being in the making. Oh, it just starts melee attack, actually. That is interesting. So he wants these roaches to be more powerful in defense for a while. He wants to take an advantage. That's a bold call by Armani.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because usually if someone makes a lot of roaches, you would imagine +1 range attack would be a bit more suitable, but oh, I see what's happening. Okay, looks like Armani is going to go ahead, make a bunch of roaches just to hang on to the mid to late game, and then make a huge switch to Ling and Baneling Mutalisk. So that +1 melee does now make a lot more sense.
Yeah, he's gonna be trying to get those mutas out without taking too much damage. I feel like that's a very clever maneuver from Armani. But once again, it's so risky. It can lead to such awful scenarios like the one that is just happening while his main is gonna be half cleared. Looks like Time will not find a way into the natural to get more scouting information, but oh my, that's a lot of lost mining time. And that's still Medivacs here and there trying to deal damage. Time doesn't want to stop. 2 more Medivacs going through, and it's only a matter of time. Why can't I stay away from this word?
Oh my goodness. These These Marines are getting way more damage than necessary.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how Time has been able to step forward and forward and forward at every single window. He got 8 more drones down into the scene. Time playing the playstyle you were talking about and not the one I was talking about. Looks like he wants to make those surgical strikes, getting damage here and there, and boy, is he good at it as well.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, Armani is still ahead in terms of the income graph.
Oh yeah. Like, Armani has been macroing like crazy this game, cutting so many corners. As you can see, he doesn't even have Bailey speed yet. And now that the mutas are out, fun can start for the Zerg player as well. Time has a very well defended position. He's probably gonna get a 4th base kind of soon. But as of now, he has this sweet spot of the Terran production that really makes up for such a strong army. As you can see, that 6 tanks.
Oh,
6
yeah.
is a big number of tanks, guys.
Yeah.
That's very hard to break.
Oh man, that is a pretty scary army there.
Yeah, that's the decisive maneuver I was talking about instead. It looks like Time has decided now is the moment I want to strike. And this looks very good for him as already. Not many Balins out. These mutas are desperately trying to get on top of the tanks. There's a bunch of Marines left standing over there. The roaches are not gonna be too useful. They're gonna tank some damage. They're gonna allow the mutas to actually survive a lot of punishment. But these tanks are way too far back for Time. I don't really know if this is good for him. I think he can deal some more damage. He has a lot of Marines stacked on top of these tanks. Meanwhile, 13, 14 SCVs are falling. Drones, sorry, not SCVs. Where are these drones dying?
I have
Oh, Liberator!
Oh, that's...
Liberator in the 3rd. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of kills from one Liberator. Shouldn't have ever happened, especially with mutas being out. Meanwhile, a huge amount of Balins are gonna collapse on top of Time's army. Not gonna get much done. Armani struggling once more, and here goes the archery. Oh, the economy of Armani suffers yet another big blow. Balins and Ravagers alike are gonna be morphed by the Zerg player. This is the moment Time decides to back off for the time being and be ready to strike at a different location.
Oh man, losing that hatchery there is a bit more difficult because right now Time can just go ahead and maneuver to the left side, and really the reinforcement is going to have to travel all the way down here. And look at, yeah, the tanks are still standing. There's just a bunch more tanks still left over.
Oh, the main lead's not gonna get great connections. This whole amount of Marines is gonna be cleared in the end. Ravagers are gonna pile down on top of one of the tanks. And Time is trying to make it even more decisive, splitting tanks into different locations to try and get as much surface as possible. These tanks are surrounding this choke point over here. Meanwhile, back home, Armani dealing so much damage to Time. His economy completely destroyed by these mutas and Zerglings alike. But Time, yet again, it doesn't stop. This is a decisive maneuver. Look at him go. Another hatchery goes down. Armani might have the supply lead, might have a similar supply army, might have not bad upgrades as well, but his economy is being put to such a test. He's mining from 3 bases, 2 of them compared together like they have 18 patches. Well, 9 patches total. So it's not a great income.
Yeah, I mean, Armani has 80 drones pretty much, but just doesn't have enough bases to kind of mine off of them. So right now he just needs to throw down a bunch of hatcheries or something, but he can't because he doesn't have any mineral banked up. He's just gotta buy some time, try to defend here.
That's a little bit of a disaster for Time. His tanks are so far apart from the rest of the army. So many tanks are gonna be sniped so easily. Medivacs also in danger. Another base needs to be cancelled for Armani. But Time loses so many key units.
Yeah, that is huge. Sniping all those tanks.
It feels like Armani has a pretty good position heading into the next few engagements. But he needs those banelings to be made. Armani needs to buy a little bit more time, at least like 5-4 seconds. Banelings are made at last. This can be defended from the Zerg player. This actually is kind of important right now. Mutas, Ravagers, Banelings, Zerglings, everything collapsing on top of the army of Time. Tanks are gonna be cleared. The Mutas relentlessly destroying everything with their AoE. And it's time for the Ravagers to clear everything else up. These Medivacs doing their best, keeping all of these. Oh my god, a pile killed 6 Mutalisks! What a disaster from Armani! Oh no!
Oh no, man. That was like the exact opposite of play of the day.
Oh no. No, Armani. Don't do this to me.
What a horrible, horrible way to lose the engagement. Those traitor Ravagers. I mean, but it's very similar to like war. I mean, you try to snipe at your opponent, but in the meantime, like you might accidentally shoot one of your comrades. And unfortunately, therefore, for Armani, does snipe off his own Mulas.
Yeah, that was kind of brutal as well, because like he only needed those mutas to stay alive to actually clean everything up. And yeah, like biling down your own units, I can 100% assure you it's the worst feeling ever. And it's even worse when you snipe down expensive units, and mutas are kind of expensive.
Yeah. And at that point, he really needed all his army to be alive in order to hold off that attack. Because, you know, Time did have a little bit of a more army than you know, Time, or Time did have a bit more army than Armani. So,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if he was able to save all those Mutalisks. I mean, Mutalisks, they don't really delve out too much attack damage, but I mean, every unit really matters at that point when it's just...
Yeah. At that point, like, even just threatening Time is enough. And in that location, like, Medivacs didn't have a lot of energy. Marines were very bruised. Those mutas would have actually probably won that fight in the end. It would have been rough, but it would have. And I don't know, after that, the game is yours to lose. Like, that's such a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, and now Time is one game away from clinching the series. Gonna go ahead and lead into game number 6 with a 4-1 lead.
We're on Pillars of Gold for the 6th set of this series. Here in the bottom left hand corner, the blue Zerg is currently spawning off to such a good start in the series. Insanely convincing victory in game number 1. And then a disaster, 4 losses in a row. Can he win for himself? A freak of freaks, ARMANI is spawning here.
And spawning here at the top right. He's the red Terran player, looking really, really good right now. Has a really comfortable lead. Can he close it out? It is Time. Alright, so we head into Pillars of Gold. Once again, one of the maps that has a really nice kind of open area. And that's going to definitely favor Armani. And if he is going to be at basically his back against the wall, definitely want to be on a map that kind of favors you a little bit.
I have to admit, I've seen some of the best Zerg games of this year on this map. which at first I wasn't really expecting. I really disliked Pillars of Gold the first time I saw that. I saw it. But in the end, I feel like it's kind of a balanced map overall. It's pretty good for Skytoss, it's pretty good for Spire. But in the end, I feel like it really makes for some beautiful games. I'm gonna be kind of sad when it goes away. Because it kind of grew up on me. I really like this map overall.
Yeah, as you mentioned it, there has been a lot of games that I remember from this map in terms of epic series and games.
Yeah.
Definitely a map that, yeah, like you said, I'm also gonna kind of miss when it goes out of the ladder map pool, but let's enjoy it while it's still here.
Exactly. Oh, this Reaper is gonna enjoy his life a little while longer. Crypt Humor gonna be dropped by Armani. And whoa, double command center. Time does it again.
Yeah, has been going for that early dirt, from time to time throughout the series. Once again,
Come on,
going for
from
it.
time to time, really?
Yeah, the puns just nonstop.
Yeah, I can't stop them. It has been working quite fine for him, especially this double rack style before the starport. I think it was in game number 5. No, 4. Sorry, he did that. But yeah, I feel like it's a powerful build if you manage to at least force a lot of units out of your opponent.
Yeah, that's exactly what these Hellions are for. I'm gonna go ahead and force a bit more Zerglings instead of drones out of the Zerg player while buying himself some time to get that third command center up. But Armani does go for that Overlord speed, will scout it, and know what exactly time is going for.
Yeah, it's gonna be so important for Armani to actually have a full clear view of what is going on. He has it, he knows team is coming, he knows how to deal with this. His lair just started, he's not scared of this, like at all. Double extractor as soon as the lair gets started as well. But I do fear one thing. Baneley Nest instead of double Evo Chambers. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Why do you think he's going for Baneling's Nest this time around? I mean, he does scout the third base. He knows that if
I think he doesn't feel safe.
Yeah, which is kind of questionable because he does scout the early third, right? So you should know that there's not going to be a lot of units coming across the map. So yeah, it's a little bit weird, but
yeah, I really dislike the choice. 10 more drones coming over here. Baneley speed gonna get started very fast. It could be for some kind of run bys, expecting the third base not being well defended. It could be one thing. But it's kind of stretching it around a little bit. Now it takes a fourth. Like, it kind of defies reasoning. You take Baneley Nest is a defensive structure. You take as well as the Roach Warren. You take Baneley Nest and Roach Warren if you want to play in a macro game, a defensive early game. It goes for a 4-fudge very quickly, which still proves this point right. But then he goes for Baneley speed immediately after his lair is done, and then double Evo Chambers. Like, he's all over the place right now.
yeah. Now the good thing about Baneling's Nest is that he should be able to kind of roll his Banelings to the third base of the Terran. But in the meantime, we do see a little bit of a harassment here from a time. A lot of slow Banelings. Oh no!
They're not gonna do much. Like, you need Zerglings with +1/+1 to deal with that. You don't need Banelings.
Yeah, and this is right before Baneling speed, so losing a bit of Banelings there before Baneling speed is okay. Now Baneling speed has finished, but not quite enough Banelings yet, as he did lose a few earlier during the engagement.
Archery is gonna be cancelled. The rest of the Zerglings are making their way on top of this army of Time, and Time has achieved his purpose. He forced 16 more Zerglings out. He killed a base, well, forced a council on a base, and now Armani, even if he's ahead on workers and in supply, I feel like he's in an awful spot. Armani gonna get gonna get 2 more racks, And gonna start pumping out +1/+1. Just that slightly bit quicker than his opponent. And ARMANI needs a transition right now. It needs a 4th base to go up, and it needs at least a Hydra then, if not an Infestation Pit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time where only Lings and Banelings in your competition is just not going to cut it. But it looks like ARMANI's going to go for a nice little counterattack. Nothing here, no defenses.
Yeah. That's gonna deal some damage. I also absolutely love the choice of ARMANI to go for a double expansion and the macro arch in the main. His production needs to be on par to time. And right now there's also a tank here at the 4th base location, but that's enough Banelings. The rest of the Zerglings are making their way around to try and catch the army of time out of guard. And ooh, that's still a lot of Marines. Oh, the Zerglings are coming on the other side. This tank is gonna go down. It looks like time will load up and try to go for the main. That's so many Zerglings in production for ARMANI. Yeah, time decides to not go for that. I feel like that was the most clever decision. But this is great for ARMANI. He double expanded and he saved both of the bases he expanded into. He has a huge amount of minerals he could spend on whatever he wants, and now finally he drops that Infestation Pit. Gonna get to the Hive and gonna get that Ultra Cavern as soon as possible. A full melee army is shaking things up for the Zerg player. He needs to handle a little bit of a storm. ARMANI's Banelings making their way into this mineral line. Not gonna do much. Gonna explode on just a tank. Sad.
Sad, sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Oh, time's gonna send one medivac over here. Gonna find at least 2 million Zerglings waiting for him, so it's gonna decide against dropping there.
Yeah, it looks like both these players trying to find some type of opening to kind of abuse, but the defenses is just on points right now.
ARMANI's economy is absolutely crazy right now. His income is through the roof. Oh, a little bit of a lag spike, but here comes a big surround. ARMANI's gonna sacrifice so many Zerglings for this. I really don't know. He has a huge amount of minerals. Alright, whatever. Doesn't mean he can waste it like that. You need those Zerglings to be turned into Banelings once the time comes. 44 more Zerglings in the making. A Hive is on the way as well. And meanwhile, Banelings are gonna clear this drop in the bottom right hand corner. Time finally got a 4th base of his own, and that's Hydra then?
Yeah, he needs something, a higher tier units besides just Ling and Banelings. And oh my god, look at that nice focus fire on those Banelings.
That was great.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, it's really, really hard to focus fire on moving Banelings, guys.
Yeah. ARMANI is gonna catch some stragglers in the middle of the map. And maybe try to go for a counterattack of his own. But now that the Hive is on, here it comes. Adrenal Glands and Ultra Cavern. That's just what we were waiting for. ARMANI has these little bit of window to get his higher tier units, Vipers, out as well. Makes a lot of sense. But if time decides to strike soon, it can be very hard for ARMANI to survive. Oh, and exactly does that. The army of ARMANI is well spread out. This is the decisive maneuver time decides to take. That's not many Banelings over here. It looks like there's just one tank out. Not gonna be much. But the Marines are well spread out. It's gonna be very important to drop those blinding clouds at the right spots. Here in the bottom right, another drop. He's gonna get another base. 2 bases killed by time. That's a great, great attack from the Terran player. It really is putting ARMANI to the test. And now that Adrenal Glands is almost done, now that the Ultra Cavern is done, ARMANI needs higher tier stuff. On the other side of the map, a huge rampire of Zerglings is destroying the economy of the Terran player, getting so many SCVs killed, but time doesn't really care. He steams again, and this time the 4th base is the target, and it goes down in the blink of an eye. 22 drones killed, 24 SCVs. But Time can handle this. Time has the stronger army. And now, finally, Armani is back into a bad spot because Time wasn't waiting for any more than this moment to strike. Tech is up, Time strikes. Every single game, Armani struggling to find a way to deal with Time. Finally, a huge fight starts in favor of the Zerg player. Vipers proving their worth. But in the end, it looks like Time is gonna be clearing stuff up and get away from there.
Yeah, this is looking very much like the previous game where Armani just has a bunch of drones, but just not enough bases to mine off of. He keeps losing bases one after another. I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for Armani. I mean, the one thing that he does have going for him is that he does have a lot of workers, but also he's even on upgrades. He's getting his Ultralist. Ultralist, on the other hand, that could be a game changer because if you're like even or just a little bit below the Terran overall supply, that's not actually a bad thing. I mean, the Ultralists are so good, so beefy that they can kind of change the tide of the fight.
Also, most of the fights that are happening are kind of low supply fights, so Ultras really can shine in those scenarios since they can deal so much punishment without going down.
Yeah, and a lot of the times armies is in Bow units, which these Ultralists can do heavy damage to. And then right now, I think Armani just has the better quality army, while Time has the better quantity army.
As of now, yeah, but Time really needed to do one thing this game, and that was not losing repeatedly 12 SCVs every single time Armani made his way through the map. And that kind of happened. His economy is not in a great state right now, and even though he killed so many bases, his economy, his income is on par with Armani. That's not great at all. Changelings gonna try to block Time, who actually killed one of his own Marines, I think. Citizens arrest. Alright, it's time for the Ultras to start to shine. Here comes the parasitic bombs on top of all of these medivacs. So much damage dealt to these air units. They're all gonna fall. Oh my. That was crazy.
Yeah, look at how low those medevac lives are. He's gonna probably want to go ahead and just turn back and at least repair them. But he's gonna go ahead and try to snipe off some additional banelings. Trying to snipe off
Ultras. Yeah. Sorry.
Some nice kiting though by Time.
In the end, Armani's Ultras are left standing, but Time is kind of making up for the loss of SCVs he had with mules. So finally he's dropping out a lot of production at the same time, but Armani finally gets a good counter-attack over here aside from the run-bys he did this far. And look at the Ultras go! Trying to get on top of these bio units. They're gonna almost clear them all. But the Ultras in the end need to back off, and the Vipers are under attack right now. That's a disaster for Armani. A huge run-by has happened with Banelings killing 16 SCVs, which is great. Mark my words, it's really great. But Vipers are so critical.
Yeah, that might have been the game sealer right there, because really what Armani had was the quality of his army. Without those Vipers, that kind of goes away, and now Time taking out more and more hatchery once again.
Yeah, Armani cannot be in two places at once if he doesn't have the upper end with those Vipers. 57 army supply to 106. And his worker count trying to do its best to make up for it, but 10 more drones are gonna fall. There's not a fourth base going up yet. 12 more drones are gonna fall actually. This is starting to look very ugly for the Zerg player. Time keeping creep spread at bay as well. Time has played such an incredible series so far, but Armani is probably gonna lose this game due to another misplay. With those Vipers, Ultras trying to dive on top of everything. Here comes the Vipers. There's still a couple parasitic bombs that can be used. Here they come. One on top of this medivac. Insanely fast reaction from time, boosting that medivac away before you can deal any serious damage. Another parasitic bomb. These bio units really doing their best to start a step away from the ultras, and they're doing such a magnificent job at it. Time, show us how good his micro is, and these ultras are not doing anything for Armani as of now, aside from tanking some damage. Another ultra goes down. Armani is struggling to keep up. Now it's the turn of the Vipers, it seems. Huge blinding cloud, another huge one. The Spalins are trying their best, but the Vipers are out of energy. These Ultra doing its best. Blinding cloud doing such an incredible job, and time. Not the best starter step action in this scenario though. He's still gonna be so much far ahead.
Yeah, you can see a bunch of red dots streaming across the map. And Time is not letting up his relentless attack.
Oh, this is starting to look very, very ugly for Armani. Very, very fast. 13 more drones gone into the sink. His economy is not really keeping up. Another hatchery is under attack. Here comes the Ultra to try and save the day. But Time is expanding once more. He's gonna add more and more workers by the second. And these Ultras, they do not come high in numbers. It's only one of them at a time right now. This mineral income for Armani is really not great. And he needs these resources to start dropping more hatcheries and defend them. That's a Widowmine shot worth of at least 5 to 6 Zerglings. The rest of the Zerglings trying to get on top of everything else. Parasitic bombs going on top of the Medivacs. Widowmines getting connections on the Vipers. The last Ultra standing will not be enough. Time will win the series 5-1.